As Christians, we often think that following Jesus means a life of comfort, ease, and blessings. But the Bible paints a different picture. In 1 Peter 4, we're told that suffering is actually a privilege for those who belong to Christ. It's not something to be avoided or feared, but something to embrace as a part of our Christian walk. The passage begins by saying, "Since Christ suffered physical pain, you must arm yourselves with the same attitude he had, and be ready to suffer too." Jesus, our perfect example, endured immense suffering for our sake. He didn't shy away from pain, but willingly took it on out of love for us. And as his followers, we're called to have that same mindset. But why should we be ready to suffer? Verse 1 gives us the answer. "For if you have suffered physically for Christ, you have finished with sin." When we're willing to suffer for Christ, it shows that our allegiance is to him alone. We're no longer controlled by our own desires or the temptations of the world. We're fully committed to doing God's will no matter the cost. This doesn't mean that we go looking for suffering or that we enjoy it when it comes. But it does mean that we have a different perspective on it. We see it as an opportunity to identify with Christ, to share in his sufferings, and to be refined and purified through the process. The passage goes on to say that those who suffer for Christ will have the wonderful joy of seeing his glory when it is revealed to all the world. Our temporary pain pales in comparison to the eternal glory that awaits us. When we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus and the hope of heaven, we can endure anything this world throws at us. But suffering isn't just about personal growth or future rewards. It's also about love. Verse 8 says, "Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins." When we're going through trials, it's easy to become self-focused and isolated. But God calls us to continue loving others, even in the midst of our own pain. That love is a powerful witness to the world and a reflection of Christ's own sacrificial love for us. Finally, the passage reminds us that suffering is a normal part of the Christian life. We shouldn't be surprised by it or think that something strange is happening to us. Instead, we should rejoice that we get to partner with Christ in his sufferings. It's a privilege to share in what he experienced and to know that our trials are not in vain. So if you're going through a difficult season right now, take heart. Your suffering is not a sign of God's displeasure or a punishment for your sins. It's an opportunity to grow closer to Christ, to be purified and refined, and to show the world the depth of your love for God. Don't waste your trials. Don't let them make you bitter or resentful. Instead, embrace them as a gift from God. Let them drive you to your knees in prayer, deepen your dependence on him, and increase your love for others. And remember, Jesus understands your pain. He's been there. He knows what it's like to suffer, to be rejected, to feel alone. He's with you in your trials, and he's using them to make you more like himself. So arm yourself with the right attitude. Be ready to suffer for Christ, knowing that it's a privilege and a joy. And trust that God is working all things together for your good and his glory. Keep on doing what is right, even when it's hard. Keep loving others, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. And keep looking to Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. He will never leave you or forsake you. He will give you the strength you need to endure. And one day, when you see him face to face, all the suffering will fade away in the light of his glorious presence.